What if everything you've been told about stress is wrong? Not slightly off, completely, fundamentally wrong. You've been taught to manage stress, to cope with it, to breathe through it, journal about it, take a walk, maybe book a vacation if you can afford one. And maybe those things help for an hour, for a day. But then Monday comes back around, and so does that tight feeling in your chest, that low, dull dread, that exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Here's what nobody is sitting you down to tell you. The problem was never your schedule. It was never your job, your inbox, your difficult relationships, or your bank account. Those things are real. I'm not dismissing them. But they are not the reason your body feels like it's been wrung out like a wet towel every single day. The real problem is happening inside your body, quietly, invisibly, every single hour you go on ignoring it. Right now, as you read this, your body may be producing a hormone that is slowly shrinking your brain, not metaphorically, literally reducing its physical volume. That same hormone is dismantling your metabolism, corrupting your sleep architecture, and amplifying every emotion you feel until a minor inconvenience hits like a personal catastrophe. It is making you gain fat in places you can't seem to lose it, no matter how clean you eat or how many times you drag yourself to the gym. It is making you short-tempered with the people you love most, for reasons you can't even explain afterward.
That hormone is cortisol. And if you are living a modern life with deadlines and notifications and financial pressure and relationships and responsibilities that never fully go away, there is a very real chance your cortisol has been chronically elevated for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to actually be calm. Here's the part that stopped me completely when I first understood it. You don't feel high cortisol the way you feel a headache. You don't feel it the way you feel a fever or a sprained ankle. There's no clear signal, no obvious alarm. Instead, you feel it as brain fog that rolls in by early afternoon and never quite lifts. You feel it as that strange, exhausting paradox where you are bone tired all day, but the moment your head hits the pillow, your mind starts racing. You feel it as belly fat that refuses to move, as a short fuse that fires before you've even made a conscious decision, as a low-grade anxiety that follows you into rooms you used to feel safe in. Sound familiar? Because that's not weakness. That's not a character flaw. That's your biology misfiring. And once you understand exactly how, you'll have the keys to fix it.
I'm going to give you 3 specific habits today. Not supplements, not a 30-day challenge, not a morning routine that requires waking up at 5 a.m. and owning expensive equipment. 3 habits grounded in hard science that can measurably lower your cortisol levels within hours of starting them. You can begin all 3 today. But the third one, I need you to stay for the third one. It is going to sound strange. It goes against nearly everything the wellness world has taught you about calming down. And it might genuinely be the most important thing you learn all year. We'll get there. But first, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body right now. Because once you see it clearly, you will never think about stress the same way again. Here's a number worth sitting with. 83% of American workers report feeling chronically stressed. Not occasionally overwhelmed, not stressed around deadlines. Chronically, persistently, every single day stressed. And that number has been rising steadily for over a decade. Not because people are getting weaker, not because this generation can't handle pressure, but because the nature of modern stress is fundamentally different from anything the human body was built to process.
Your body was designed for cortisol to come in short, sharp, powerful bursts. You encounter a threat, a real one, something physical, something immediate. Cortisol spikes, your heart rate climbs, your muscles pull tight, your vision narrows. Your entire system orients toward one single purpose: survive this moment. And then the moment passes. The threat resolves. The cortisol clears. Your body drifts back to baseline. That whole system is extraordinary. It is elegant. It kept every ancestor you've ever had alive long enough to produce you. The catastrophic flaw is this: your brain cannot distinguish between a physical threat and an emotional one. Your nervous system does not know the difference between a predator and an email from your boss written in a certain tone. The cortisol spike is identical. The biological response is identical. Your body goes to war against a calendar notification. And unlike a predator, which either catches you or doesn't, the email doesn't go away. The deadline doesn't resolve. The financial pressure doesn't pass. The tension in that relationship doesn't clear. So the cortisol doesn't clear either. It layers day over day, week over week, month after month, until your baseline is so elevated that you can't remember the last time your body felt genuinely at rest.
Research published in the journal Biological Psychiatry confirmed something that should alarm every single person living under chronic stress. Sustained high cortisol measurably reduces the volume of the hippocampus, the region of your brain responsible for memory, learning, and emotional regulation. You are not just feeling worse. You are not just struggling more. Your brain is physically, structurally changing. And then there is what researchers call the cortisol trap, and this is where it becomes a genuine cage. When cortisol stays chronically high, it begins suppressing the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that thinks rationally, plans ahead, regulates impulse, and keeps your emotional responses proportionate. Stress makes it harder to think clearly about how to reduce stress. The very tool you need to solve the problem is the tool the problem is dismantling. You don't get stuck because you're not trying hard enough. You get stuck because the biology of chronic stress is specifically designed to keep you stuck. But here is the exit.
The first habit is called the physiological sigh, and it is the single fastest biological reset your nervous system has access to. You've almost certainly done this involuntarily. That deep, shuddering double inhale that your body pulls automatically when you've been crying hard, or when something suddenly overwhelms you and your breath kind of hitches and then deepens. Your body does that on its own because it is trying to correct something specific. And once you understand what it's correcting, you will do this on purpose for the rest of your life. When stress hits, tiny air sacs in your lungs called alveoli begin to collapse. As they collapse, carbon dioxide starts to build in your blood, and elevated blood CO2 is one of the most potent biological triggers for anxiety and panic that exists. This is the actual mechanism behind why panic attacks spiral. Your body is not broken. It is responding to a real and measurable chemical shift. The physiological sigh reverses that shift in seconds. The first inhale begins re-inflating the collapsed alveoli. The short second inhale on top of it fully expands them. Then the long, slow exhale activates the vagus nerve, the great calm-down highway of your nervous system, and switches your body from fret mode into rest and repair mode. Researchers at Stanford University tested dozens of breathing techniques and found the physiological sigh produced the fastest measurable drop in physiological arousal of any method they studied. Faster than meditation, faster than box breathing, faster than anything else on the list. Here is what you do. The next time you feel stress beginning to rise, not when you are already white-knuckling it, but the moment you notice the first signal, do this. Inhale deeply through your nose. Then, before you exhale, take one small extra sniff on top of that inhale. Then let everything out slowly through your mouth. Do that twice. That is 30 seconds of your life. Your cortisol begins to drop immediately. And the best part is that nobody around you will even notice you're doing it. You can use this in a tense meeting, in traffic, in a conversation that's starting to go sideways. Your nervous system doesn't care where you are. It just responds to the signal. Now hold on to that one, because later I'll show you how all three habits work together in a sequence that makes each of them more powerful.
But first, habit 2, and this one works in your bathroom before you've even had coffee.
Here is something most people will never know about their own body. One of the most effective cortisol-lowering mechanisms you possess has been sitting dormant in you your entire life, waiting to be triggered by something as simple as cold water on your face. It's called the mammalian dive reflex, and it is ancient, hundreds of millions of years old. When cold water makes contact with the skin around your eyes and nose, your body interprets it as full submersion in cold water, and the response is immediate. Your heart rate drops, your vagus nerve fires, blood flow redirects, your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side of your biology, takes over completely. Researchers studying freedivers found this reflex capable of reducing heart rate by up to 25%, even in untrained individuals. You don't have to earn this reflex. You were born with it. You just have to trigger it.
Now, here's what makes this particularly powerful when you use it in the morning. Cortisol follows a daily curve. It peaks sharply in the first 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up. This is called the cortisol awakening response. In a healthy, well-regulated nervous system, that morning spike is actually useful. It gives you the energy and mental clarity to engage with the day. But in someone living under chronic stress, that morning baseline is already too high before the spike even happens. And starting your day from an elevated baseline means everything. Every difficult email, every frustrating conversation, every small thing that goes wrong hits harder and lasts longer than it should. Splashing cold water on your face first thing in the morning doesn't just wake you up. It actively pulls that baseline down before the day has a chance to push it up. You are not reacting to stress. You are proactively reducing the floor that your stress builds from. Every morning, before you look at your phone, before coffee, before anything else, go to the sink. Splash cold water on your face 10 times, focusing on the area beneath your eyes and across the bridge of your nose. If you want the full effect, hold a cold, wet cloth over your eyes for 30 seconds. That's the complete protocol. It takes less than 2 minutes. And people who do this consistently report measurably lower anxiety within 3 to 5 days, not because of belief or placebo, but because their cortisol is genuinely biochemically lower. Now we get to habit 3. And I meant it when I said this one sounds strange, but stay with me all the way through the science, because by the end you will understand it completely, and you will probably wish someone had told you this years ago. Have you ever watched a dog after something frightened it? A sudden loud noise, a near miss, something that startled it deeply? Watch what it does immediately after. It shakes. The whole body, from the legs up through the spine and shoulders, trembles for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And then, it's done. The tail comes back up. It walks away like nothing happened. No lingering anxiety, no replaying the event, no residual tension stored in the body. Just fully, completely done. That is not a quirk. That is not random animal behavior. That is biology completing a cycle that we as humans have been taught to interrupt.
Here is what is actually happening at a hormonal level. When a threat occurs, real or perceived, your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline to prepare you for action. That is the stress response doing exactly what it was designed to do. Those hormones are tools. They are meant to be used up, discharged through physical action, and then cleared from the system. In animals, this almost always happens. The chase, the escape, the physical exertion, and then the shaking. The trembling is the body discharging the remaining hormones, completing the stress cycle, returning to baseline. Life continues. Humans break this cycle every single day. We experience the full hormonal flood. The threat response activates completely. And then we sit in a chair. We suppress every physical impulse because we are in an office, a classroom, a car. We tell ourselves to hold it together. We breathe, we suppress, we move on. And we believe the stress is gone because we stopped showing it outwardly. But the cortisol didn't leave. The adrenaline didn't clear. The stress cycle never finished. It got stored in your muscles, in your fascia, in your nervous system. And it has been accumulating there, compounding quietly, for months or years, until your baseline is so elevated that ordinary life starts to feel genuinely unbearable.
This is the science behind a method developed by Dr. David Berceli, a trauma therapist who spent decades studying how different cultures and species recover from stress. He developed what he called trauma release exercises, and at the center of all of it is one radical, simple idea. Let your body shake. Stand up, feet shoulder-width apart. Soften your knees slightly, as if you were about to lower into a chair that isn't quite there. Let your legs begin to tremble. If they don't tremble naturally at first, gently bounce on your heels and let the movement travel upward through your hips and torso. Shake out your hands, roll your shoulders loose. Let your whole body move without controlling it, without performing it, for 2 to 3 minutes. Put on a song that helps you relax into it if that makes it easier. This is not exercise. This is not a workout. You are not trying to burn anything or look any particular way. You are giving your nervous system explicit permission to finish what stress started. You are letting the cortisol discharge the way it was always biologically designed to.
People who practice this 3 to 4 times a week consistently report falling asleep faster, waking up less, feeling a physical lightness in their body that they struggle to put words to. Now, you can explain it for them. Their stress hormones are actually lower, not because they meditated harder or thought more positively, but because their body finally got to complete the cycle it was always trying to finish. So let's bring this all together, because separately these habits are powerful, but used in sequence, they are something else entirely. Your body has been running an emergency stress response that was built for short, sharp crises, inside a life that delivers a relentless, never-ending stream of them. The cortisol accumulated, the cycles never closed, and you have been living inside that accumulation, probably for longer than you realize, wondering why you can't just relax, why sleep doesn't restore you, why you feel like you're always one small thing away from completely losing it. But now you have 3 exits, a double inhale and a slow exhale, to chemically reset your blood in 30 seconds. Cold water on your face each morning to trigger a reflex that has lived in you your whole life, pulling your cortisol baseline down before the day begins. And 2 to 3 minutes of intentional shaking that lets your nervous system finally close the loops that chronic stress has been leaving open for years.
Use small pauses to feel stress rising. Use the cold water every morning before anything else touches your attention. Use the shaking 2 or 3 evenings a week, or any time you've had a day that felt like too much. Stack them. Build them into the architecture of your daily life, not as a wellness project, but as maintenance for a body that has been quietly running in emergency mode for far too long. Imagine waking up tomorrow and your body is not already bracing. Imagine getting through a hard conversation and actually feel it leave you, not carrying it home, not replaying it at midnight. Imagine lying down at night and your mind going genuinely quiet. Not because you forced it, not because you white-knuckled your way to calm, but because your cortisol is actually lower and your nervous system actually finished its cycles. That is not a fantasy. That is what a regulated nervous system feels like, and it has been available to you this entire time. Your nervous system is not broken. It has not failed you. It has simply been waiting,
patiently, persistently, for you to give it the right signal. Now you know what that signal is.